All righty. Hi, Adrian. Do you want to welcome our guest here?
Well, first, I want to just say welcome to the last Friday Live of 2021.
This is it. The year is it's
It.
gone.
And we are so excited to have such an awesome guest to present to everybody out there. I had the honor of taking Understanding Your Perspective. That's a course that Ramsey teaches. It's a one-day course, and had the chance to connect with him and really learn about some shifting and mindset, meditation, just wonderful things that he brought to the Keller Williams Honolulu and actually Maui. And I wanted to make sure that the rest of our viewers and listeners had the opportunity to hear more about the kind of coaching and programs that Ramsey has.
Well, okay. So our guest today has been a leader in coaching and wellness industries for over 15 years and has over 2 decades of public speaking experience. In 2006, he started his own business, dedicating his life to promoting well-being and health. Please welcome today's guest, 8-time Ironman and well-being and transformational leadership coach, Ramsey Bergeron.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Nice to see both of you.
Yes.
Nice. I got a lot to live up to based on that intro now.
I always like when I hear intros too, it's hard to not be like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, part of it is that perspective. Like one of the things I talk about is, we all take certain things from our past to define who we are when we introduce ourselves to people, but it's never like, hi, I'm Ramsey. I failed the test in the 5th grade and I'm having a bad week this week. I ate some food I probably shouldn't have had last Tuesday. Like the things that we use to define who we are, how do we come up with that? And why do we take certain moments that define us more than others? And all of it's in the past. None of it is really who we even are right now. So just the things I like to keep in perspective for people to help them ground themselves in this moment instead of anchoring to things that really have no control over them.
And, Ramsey, that's what I love about you. You're not wasting one single second because you just gave people a nugget just from the intro.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it's all about perspective. And
Adrian, question.
So Ramsey, I know that you've got all sorts of different kinds of ways to help your coaching students and people that are interested in, growing their mindset. So let's talk a little bit about that because I'm very excited that you're coming back to Oahu. You'll be here the whole month of January.
Yes.
So let's talk about these programs that you have available.
Sure. Well, one that people can join no matter where they live. I teach a class on radical acceptance. Because for me, a lot of my life, I had a lot of anger problems. And I'm writing a book right now called Chasing the Rabbit, Why Achieving Success is Never Enough. And it was always that feeling of once I accomplish something, whether it's crossing the Ironman finish line, one of my childhood dreams was to walk the red carpet for a movie I was in Hollywood. I got to do that. A couple of days later, I would always just feel empty. I never felt fulfilled or satisfied. And part of it was just not accepting reality. I was always wanting things to be different than how they were. So I really started just studying different philosophies. And for the last couple of years, I've really dived into learning how to help people just accept now. So it's a 4-part class I teach on Zoom. So it's a webinar and I keep it to a small group. I try to cap it out at 8 people total because it's really a chance for everyone to interact and share their perspective and what they might be struggling with. It's a 4-part class. It's Tuesdays for those in Hawaii. It's 3 to 4:30 Hawaiian time. And it's a 4-part class. The first week we focus on mindfulness. What does that even mean? What does meditation look like? Because everyone thinks it's, I have to clear my head you don't have to. That's not necessarily the goal. The second week is impermanence, dealing with the fact that everything changes and how do we handle that? And that's really what stress and acceptance is about, is how do we manage change? And the third week is non-judgment of other or non-judgment of situations. And then the 4th class is non-judgment of self. And that ends up being the most challenging class for some people because of that, just that negative self-talk and that nonstop stream of consciousness where they're beating themselves up in their head and helping people realize that's not them, that thoughts think themselves. It's a class that anyone can take from anywhere. I guess that's a good place to start for anyone that might want some leadership or guidance.
So Ramsey, with that last part of your radical acceptance, I think you touched on it in your Understanding Your Perspective class. It's that that monkey mind.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the monkey mind a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah,
Monkey mind.
I want to hear about that monkey mind.
So monkey mind, it's a term that just essentially says that like a monkey swinging from branch to branch. He's not even letting go of the last one before he's on to the next one. That's how our thoughts tend to work in our head. Where if we're driving down the road, it's like, I need to call Bill today. Wait a minute. It's 5 a.m. I can't call Bill. I need to stop by the bank after work. Am I going to have time? Because I got to pick up my dry cleaning. Just that nonstop stream of consciousness. And it never allows us to dwell in the present, because it's always just keeping us busy and occupied about things we need to be doing or things we didn't do. And we never just stop and calm down and be in this moment. It also ties in with habit energy. And there's a Zen saying that I share with my clients, which is, there's a guy walking down the street, and then he sees another guy ride by on a horse as fast as possible. And the guy walking says, well, where are you going? And the guy says, I don't know, ask the horse. And that so many of us live our lives that way. We're just drug along by habit. Just habitual. This is what I do. I'm going to open the same 4 apps on my phone over and over with no real purpose or reason. And we don't live with purpose. We don't set intentions and realize that thoughts don't define us. Our actions define us. And so what am I doing to consciously be aware of that?
Yeah. We have, with Keller Williams, they have a course, and it's called Business Objective Life by Design. And they always talk about, when 2 people get up in the morning, one's going to live a life by default.
Yeah.
And one's going to live a life by design. The difference is when you ask someone, what are you doing today? The default guy is like, not sure. I don't know. We'll see what the day brings us.
Yeah.
And I'm going to imagine someone like you, from the moment you got up till you're on this webinar with us, you had a plan for your day.
Yes and no. And here's one of the hardest things I've had, and here's why. One of the hardest things I've had to rectify is, how do I remain in the moment while being goal-oriented? And that's one of the things I work with clients on, because they're like, well, if I'm supposed to be driven and achieve all this success in my life, well, how am I supposed to stay in the now? If I'm focused on what am I supposed to be doing with my life? And that I always make the analogy of, if I'm driving from LA to New York, I know I'm getting to New York, but if I'm not looking at the stop sign at the end of the street, then I might run over someone. Like, I have to be aware of the exact moment while being aware of what I want. And I try to live with Eastern principles, which is, like the 8-fold path essentially of Buddhism. What's my intention, and what's my mindfulness? Like right intention, right mindfulness, right action. So if I'm living my life following the values and principles that I believe in every day, then I'm simply accomplishing the things that I think are true to who I am. And it's kind of like, for some people who let's use getting in shape as an example. If we look at that as something ancillary, like outside of us, like when I have time, I will work on my health. If we're viewing our health as something external, we're never going to just live that. It should be something that we are, not something that we choose to do that we perceive as outside or separate from self. So when I wake up, I do have a plan. But like today, I was telling Adrian, I got high-speed internet installed yesterday, and it doesn't work. So they're outside waiting right now for, as soon as I'm done here, they're going to come in and switch the lines back and get it to working. But at first, I'm like, well, I might have to do this interview from a Starbucks on a laptop. And I was upset for half a second, and then I started laughing hysterically, because that's the whole point of radical acceptance. It doesn't matter what happens to me. Like, all stress is, and it's so simple, we make it so hard. Stress is the difference between reality and how we think things should be. And if we're fighting reality, we're causing this stress because it's not the way we want, darn it. And whenever the day throws things at us, okay, this simply is now the day. It doesn't matter what I had planned. This is the reality. And just accepting that. And it can be so hard for those of us that are type A or want to be in control of situations, because we have to let it go, because it really is completely out of our hands.
Yeah, I think that's the key there, is letting it go. Kind of, and I want to get back to, and let's expand on this working out and getting in better shape, because that's obviously the top of mind. It's when all the gym memberships go through the roof. Is
Happy
this
New
time
Year.
of year.
Yes. Yep.
And then wait about 3 or 4 months, and they're back down to where they were before this time of year. But how do we get into radical acceptance? Because I just remember this line from a comedian. He goes, when I get in better shape, I'm going to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Because we
I have people that tell me that. Yeah, because I was a personal trainer for 15 years, and that's kind of what I shifted from that into this, because I was realizing that everyone knew they needed to eat better and move more. Why aren't they? And just helping people find out the why. and then going through the training to become a certified coach with the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, is really understanding the motivation behind what drives people. We're only as successful as our why. So I can have 5 people wanting to get in shape, and one person's doing it because they're getting married in a couple of months. One person just turned the age they were when their dad had a heart attack. One person's got their class reunion coming up. Depending on how strong their why is and how much they feel it's a need to versus a want to versus a choose to, that's going to determine their level of success. So finding things that are in line with your values, and something kind of tied in with that, I tell you, when we're talking about why would we do things? Why are we going to work out? Why are we looking to get in shape? Why are we looking to be successful in anything we do? It's usually not the goal. The goal is not the goal. The goal is what the feeling we think we're going to have once we accomplish it. So the goal in our mind, say I want to run an Ironman. Well, it's not because I want to torture myself for 140.6 miles. It's what do I think the feeling will be when I cross that finish line? That's the driving factor. And so often in life, when we hit the goal, the feeling doesn't line up, or it's temporary because we're trying to fill something that's so much larger than that. And it's really kind of fascinating when you let go of the outcome and focus on the mastery. What have I learned? That's really all that life is what am I learning right now? Just go with like, what's this experience teaching me?
Yeah.
So
Adrian?
it's the journey. It's learning from that journey.
Yes.
And carrying it forward into your future experiences.
It's a mastery mindset versus an outcome mindset, because too often we're focused on crossing that finish line. Well, what did I learn? I had an Ironman I did in Norway that my tire exploded at mile 76 and my race was done. It wasn't just a flat, like the tire exploded. And I was furious. I flew my bike to Norway. I was sitting at the side of the road for 3 hours waiting on support to come by, and I didn't. You learn a lot about who you are and what you have control over. And what did I learn? Okay, I learned I need to put new tires on before I go do something like that. I learned that I need to have a backup, like something. I learned now that you can use $1 bill for a sidewall blowout. I never knew that before. So what have I learned from the experience? And that's how I'm choosing to look at situations now versus obstacles.
So you call that reframing.
Reframing.
Yes, reframing. Yeah, that and removing judgment. And we can't reframe till we remove judgment. Like, because if I'm looking at the situation saying this isn't fair, well, okay, it simply is.
No, but you know what? People don't say it that way. They say it this way. This isn't fair.
True. Oh yeah, it's the whininess. Yeah, and we all feel victims. Like why is life doing this to me? Like the universe has a target on my back. Even if someone cuts us off in traffic, like they're sitting in the rear view, being like, "Here comes Ramsey. I can't wait to cut him off." It's like they're not doing that. We all make it so personal. Like this is out to get me, and it's really not. And it's so freeing when we just let that go.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned that, because I tell our team members, you're not going to show me who you are in this interview or in your first couple of months with us. You may not show us who you really are for a while, but soon as the shiitake mushrooms hit the fan, we're going to see who you are. Mm-hmm. And I call it the Survivor, right? I'm really big into watching Survivor with my 14-year-old. And it's like I love that human experiment, because about halfway through this thing, you really see how people are.
Well, it's so funny you mentioned that, because that's kind of the assessment that I had Adrian and her team take in Honolulu, which is it's something called the Energy Leadership Index. And it's an assessment that the Forbes Leadership Council says it's one of the top 11 assessments that every executive should take. And it's an attitudinal assessment that measures how we show up on a regular day, and then how do we respond to stress. And it's a proprietary assessment done by IPEC, which was created by Bruce Schneider, who created the program. But we all think that we're like, it's hard to be objective about how we show up attitudinally. And this is different from like a Myers-Briggs or a Hogan. Those are personality or aptitudinal assessments. So if you're an ENTP, odds are most of your life you're going to be an ENTP, because that's your personality, barring something large happening. This sees your attitude. How are you showing up today when you take the assessment? And with the clients I work one-on-one with, every 6 months, we'll do it again and kind of see how it's shifted. Like how much catabolic energy, we're all just energy. It's all really matter is. And it breaks down into two camps, anabolic and catabolic. So anabolic is that building constructive energy, and catabolic is that fight or flight mode. And which is great if I'm being chased by a bear, but there's not a lot of bears in the modern world. But if we're late sending out that email, we feel we're in trouble for something, we still go to that place where our body releases cortisol and it's tearing down tissue for fight or flight mode. And how we don't have to respond that way. And that's kind of where the mindfulness is. I was telling Adrian, I did a 10-day silent meditation course where 10 days of no speaking, no reading, no writing, no eye contact, no exercise, no music, 10 to 12 hours a day of meditation. And it teaches you just how to be present and just let things go. And you have choice at that point. You can choose how to respond versus, like you were talking about earlier, Tilio, defaulting, or just being a reactionary through life instead of learning to respond.
Yeah, it's like that character in that. What was that one? It was like an animation. It was all the emotions that were inside the child's head.
Yeah, it had a new core memory's been created. I can't remember which, but I remember.
But then had the one emotion which was anger, and it was like the flame in the head. It was like, and we're all guilty of that. We're all guilty of that. How, what's your recommendation in that moment when we're going to go from zero to infernal? What do we do in that moment? Any suggestions?
Yeah. Sign up for my radical acceptance class. Or a simpler answer is pause. And that's really where the mindfulness comes in, because mindfulness creates space between stimulus and reaction. In that space, you have choice, and that choice grants you freedom, because you don't just have to do what you think you've always done. You can stop and you can think about it. And the reason that meditation is so crucial, it's kind of like if you wait until you're stressed to start meditating, it's defeating the purpose. You do it for when you need it. It's like ships are safe in the harbor. That's not what ships are built for. Like meditating, stilling your mind, but getting out there when you're angry, that's when you can really start to apply these principles. So when you pause, you can then look at how you're responding. One of the other big pieces of advice to give clients is, instead of self-improvement, focus on self-compassion. Because too often we'll start shaming ourselves when we recognize that we're not reacting the way that we would like. It's going against our value. So focus on that self-compassion. Like, understand I'm angry right now, and that's okay. And an Eckhart Tolle quote: "Anger is always masking pain underneath." So if we find we're angry, where's the violation? What value or belief, or are we projecting? Are we angry at someone else because they're exhibiting a behavior that we don't like about ourselves? So when we pause, we have the opportunity to really explore and look at what's going on, and not allow that emotion to own us or become us.
Yeah.
I've read
that book, The Pain
breathe.
Body.
Yeah.
Yes, pause and just breathe.
Yeah. And looking at removing judgment. So facts do not create strong emotion. Judgment of facts creates strong emotion. So facts are objective. Facts simply are. It's when we judge them that we end up having an emotional connotation or connection to it.
Yeah. Having a flat tire, like you said, is just a fact. But then what are we going to attach to that?
Yeah, this isn't fair. It's my flat tire. My race is over. I wasted my time. Again, all those judgments that we start to assign.
The stories we tell ourselves.
It's the stories we tell ourselves. Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Adrian, you had a question?
Well, I was just going to say, as we wrap up this Friday Live here with you, Ramsey, anything that you want to touch on or advice that you have for our viewers as we go into the new year?
Trust the process, be patient with yourself, and be in the moment. Like, what am I doing right now? Ask yourself, what's my intention? What's my intention with this moment? One of the things I do to help people with that, I do these group trips. I'm taking 12 people to hike around Mount Blanc in July. So just connecting with nature, connecting with something outside themselves. Find your purpose in this moment. So don't use the past to define you. Create your life right now in this moment. And if you're on Oahu, I'll be there for the month of January. And I'm there to enjoy myself and also be of service to other people. So feel free to reach out. I can help you.
Wait, and that's for the class?
Well, the class is on the web. It's online.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
But he's going to be here all of January. So all of our, other business owners, people that, would like to be a part of some kind of a coaching or a class that Ramsey puts on, please reach out directly to him and get that set, because we have the honor of having him here for a whole month.
Thanks. I do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, workshops, webinars. Really, just feel free to reach out, and I can we can set something up that would work.
Well, I get, and I totally understand that radical acceptance. I have tinnitus. I don't know. People say, oh, tinnitus. So I have this high pitched hissing sound 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in my ears all the time. And so here's how I've radically accepted it, in that I'm not aware of it when I'm fully present.
Yeah.
So it's a device that's reminding me I'm not being present because I'm hearing the hissing. And I consider it built-in noise cancellation headphones.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. That's a reframing. With the
Yes.
Vipassana meditation class we did, whenever we noticed pain, we would observe it. Like, it was called sits of determination. For an hour, you couldn't move. You had to notice it. So there's a pain on my left arm. First, it's not my pain. It's simply pain. By not owning it, by not owning the discomfort, it's not ours. It's just there. And it disarms it that way too. And we look at it objectively, like a doctor, like, all right, where does it start? Okay, it goes here and it ends here. By being the observer, we take away any of the ownership of the discomfort or the pain or the annoyance or the stress. It simply is. It's not ours. It's there, and it's kind of freeing when we look at it that way.
Yeah. Well, great information that you shared with us. Thank you so much for your time. Look forward to maybe
The
meeting
radio.
in person.
And then the radio show too. So we're excited to have you on the radio show.
Yeah, looking forward to that as well.
Okay.
Very exciting.
All right.
Awesome, guys. Well, Happy New Year.
Thank you, Ramsey. You too.
All right. So stay with us as I take us. I feel like when I say I'm taking us out, it's like I'm a sniper or something. But careful, people. Just
no judgment.
No judgment. But it's just a video. So stay with us as we do take us out here.